I've seen people transform their conversations, and believe me, when you change your story, you change your results. And whoever tells the best story wins. In fact, that's exactly what happened in the Helena National Forest. And a team of 14 firefighters, led by Wagner Dodge, were called out to fight what they believed was a 10 a.m. fire. Now, in the parlance of firefighters, a 10 a.m. fire is one that is going to burn out by 10 a.m. the next morning. So these firefighters believed that they were going in to tackle a very small blaze that was not going to be much of a problem at all. How wrong they were. But they believed that it was a 10 a.m. fire. So they jumped onto the C-47 transport plane and they took off from Missoula and headed into the Helena National Forest. Now, because the weather was so warm and there was so much turbulence, that C-47, which normally dropped them off at 2,000 feet, that's where they parachuted out from, is 2,000 feet, had to go down to 1,200 feet. And as a result, when they parachuted out, the parachute for their radio equipment did not open and was crushed when it hit the ground. But the men weren't worried. They landed at approximately 4:10 p.m. Wagner Dodge met up with his second in command, a gentleman by the name of Harrison, who was there in the National Forest, and they weren't worried about this 10 a.m. fire. In fact, they went off and they had a little dinner before they decided to fight the fire. And the fire was located in an area called Man Gulch, M-A-N-N Gulch. A gulch is characterized by mountains and hills that come together, and it's also characterized by hidden valleys and hidden ridges, and it's very difficult to see what's ahead of you, especially in certain parts of Man Gulch. In fact, the part of Man Gulch that they were getting ready to walk into in a few minutes. But Dodge and Harrison, the leaders of the party, they were the oldest gentlemen. In fact, most of the men were between the ages of 17 and 28. 12 of the 14 had seen active military service duty. But Wagner Dodge was the senior staff officer, and he had the most experience of the group. And so he led his team into Man Gulch at 5:40 p.m. At 5:40 p.m., he was leading his team into Man Gulch, and that's when he saw it. Flames, not 6 feet high, not 16 feet high, but 60 feet high, coming at them at a rate of 200 feet per minute. The men were surrounded on 3 sides before they could move. Now, 2 men panicked. They took off. They went through a crevasse. They found a way to wedge themselves through it, only to die of smoke inhalation a few hours later. Pandemonium ensued. The men were terrified. There was fear all around. And if you've ever been near a big bonfire, you know how loud that sound is. You know what that fire sounds like. And they saw these flames coming at them, and they were terrified. They didn't know what to do. They found themselves, in fact, on a hill. Their only escape route was a 76-degree grade. Not only were they standing on a 76-degree hill, but they were standing in 2.5-foot tall grass. They were trapped. The men didn't know what to do. Wagner Dodge cried out to his men amidst the din of the fire. He cried out to them. He said, men, look at me, drop your tools. Now, for firefighters in 1949, he might as well have said, drop your pants, because tools were all these guys had. They thought he was insane, but he had already dropped his tools. And here's what Wagner Dodge did. He reached into his pocket, and he pulled out a pack of matches. He struck a match, and he lit fire to the grass all around him, burning a circle in the grass. And he proceeded to call to his men, begging them to come and join him in the middle of the grass, because what Wagner Dodge realized was that you could fight fire with fire, and he created a patch where nothing could burn. The flames couldn't reach Wagner Dodge. As a result, Wagner Dodge was the sole survivor of the Man Gulch fire. We know from the minute and second hand on Harrison's watch what time the men expired. 5:56 p.m. The Man Gulch fire is the quintessential story of the breakdown in trust and communications between a senior leader and an unseasoned team. The Man Gulch fire is a message for us all of what happens when we don't create trust, when we don't assume that trusted advisor role for our customers. My name's Chris Westfall, and I'm the National Elevator Pitch Champion, and I'm here to make sure that nobody gets burned.